article that I sent through. So this person had written an article around, without bringing it up and reading it, around what happens if you listen to Joe Rogan and only Joe Rogan for a week.
And for context, she was from The Guardian.
Yes. Yes. And so she listens to a random, I say random, she said it was random. And then later in the article goes on to say, I chose this one because it sounded interesting. And I chose that one because, which if you ask 90% of Joe Rogan listeners, I think that's how they listen as well. Like, oh, MMA? No, I'm not going to listen to that. Oh, a scientist talking about this. That sounds interesting. Oh, a comedian? You pick and choose based on who the guest is. But anyway, she picked a few. And she listens for 5 days. But the thing that got me, though, is she opens it with this premise of like, okay, there's all this fuss around sort of the COVID disinformation. And he's rejecting science. He's anti this, he's anti that. And, specifically mentioning the science side of things. And she's listening to this, first day while she's going for a walk. Next day on her way to a friend's place. And the third day, she's listening to a Joe Rogan podcast after complaining about the lack of science and everything on her way to her Reiki. Am I saying that correct? On the way to her Reiki session, because she's worried that listening to Joe Rogan for 3 days has upset her aura and her not her crystals, what's it called? Her spiritual equilibrium, her chakra has been upset. So she's got to go see the Grandmaster Reiki Master to clear her energy from listening to Joe Rogan spouting out anti-scientific disinformation to a Reiki Master. I know I'm ranting and yelling, but like, seriously,
it's a fair
how
point.
is that journalism?
That's a fair
point.
This
is your opinion, and your opinion is you're a muppet. Are you kidding me? In the same sentence, the cognitive dissonance is so...
I didn't even think of that. That is so funny.
How you go at him for having like alternate doctors on, and you're believing in crystals and shit? Are you serious? Shut up. You should be cancelled because that's just dumb. You can disagree with him, but you're saying two things that are 100% in conflict with each other in the same sentence.
That's really good point.
That's idiotic. Like, that hurts my brain that that they have a platform. But you know what? If I'm being more reasonable, and I'll calm down and stop yelling.
No, please keep yelling.
She should be allowed to write that article. But if she's allowed to write that article, he should be allowed to have his platform. End of argument. Done.
Here's the thing. Great argument. I do not know anyone who's listened to a couple of episodes, say a month of Joe Rogan. Maybe even that's a stretch. I go through my phases. I don't know anyone who has listened to, say, 10 episodes a year for the last couple of years who thinks he's an asshole of a person. It's always the people who don't want to hear anything he has to say because their friends from work have an issue with him. I love that she said that on a couple of day 3, she went to go for a walk with one of her friends and she said, oh, hey, I've been listening to Joe Rogan. And her friend goes, why are you doing that? What are you doing? It's so much easier just to go, okay, look, he said the N-word. He's apologized, but we're not going to forgive it. Everything that he says is redundant. Sometimes, I don't know why I do this to myself. Maybe you do it as well. Every now and then I'll go to a person's page or a YouTube channel purely to get triggered. And my favorite place to go to get triggered is The View on YouTube. So whenever
what was Whoopi Goldberg's thing lately?
No, that the Holocaust had nothing to do with race. It wasn't to do with race.
Yes.
Essentially a misunderstanding. You go, Whoopi, you need to stop.
The Holocaust wasn't racism.
Yeah. This is what she's saying. But Joe Rogan's a problem because he hates blacks, he hates gays, he's transphobic, and he's bald as well. And no one really likes bald people that much. And
that's the real reason, people.
I listen to these girls on The View, and it serves as a massive reminder for me to go, okay, this is the importance of actually being able to listen to the people that you're criticizing, because I don't know what her name is. She's like a 70-year-old comedian, and it was as though she was getting an education live on The View, which I'm pretty sure she was, because she introduced it like, all right, American controversial podcast host Joe Rogan. I don't know. He's got a couple of yuppies that listen to him. And one of the girls on The View interrupts and she goes, he gets 200 million downloads a month, don't you? And she goes,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the like to it's probably an oversimplification. But the fact that he's getting 11 million listens per episode, and I read the other day that CBS around the 500,000 mark. Like, pretty sure Survivor and like SAS Australia gets as many like views. Okay, cool. Like, so the fact that the media have a bit of an axe to grind with him because he's out doing them, 20-1. I'm like, oh yeah, it kind of all just makes sense.
As if you wouldn't take, I would be pissed as well if I had to be at if I had to be at
been
CNN,
around 50, 60 years.
If I was
this
Don
bloke
Lemon,
yes,
and I had to go to work, my shift starts at 10. I had to
wear a
get there at
suit.
9 to do I had to dress up like a flog.
do admin.
You have to do admin.
He probably has to fill out admin and timesheets and stuff.
You have to confidently sit there and pretend that you believe what it is that you're saying, which I think maybe for him it's no issue. But I would be very angry as well, because Joe's traveling around doing his comedy. He seems very happy. He seems very healthy. He seems lovely. He's open to hearing other. And this is the thing as well. This is what makes me laugh so much about it, is so many of these people would actually be, maybe not so many, people that come from the world that these people who don't like him come from would be welcome on his show to have a conversation. Sanjay Gupta, that CNN doctor, is a perfect example of that. Came on just to try and convince him of the importance of being vaccinated. And Joe and him had an awesome conversation. It was great.
It was tense in parts, but it was overall good. What did my head in was when Sanjay then got grilled by the mainstream media afterwards, and then pedaled back a bunch of what he said and started to go, oh yeah, no, I should have said that. And oh yeah, and then goes on to Sesame Street and is, talking to Big Berg, telling kids to get vaccines and stuff like that.